The abomination is the eternal enemy of the mundus. To do nothing in the face of its threat is to be complacent in its crimes. The only thing that separates the world from darkness are those who choose to stand between them. Under the busy streets of the Daggerfall Covenant lies a whole other world. A world without law, where anything can be bought, sold, or traded. The self-proclaimed king of this land is a man whose wares are intangible. A man they call the dealer. Some say he knows things, too many things, and you could know things too. For a price. No one is quite sure where he came from, just that he showed up one day in a ridiculous getup, knowing just a little too much and tossing gold at whoever would give him more. Soon, he knew enough to be respected, even feared. Some say he even had a hand in the paintings of Roisin Vekon that mysteriously circulated a few months back. For all he squeezes out of his clients, he seems rather at home among the masks of the underworld, happily joking from stall to stall, sending people toward others who can make them gold, finding lost street rats a home. Though it's rumored he gets a cut from any dealing that begins this way. Regardless, there are few who do not know his moniker, and fewer still he does not want to help make a coin. Ninkata Moon writes, John Ifar is the stereotype for Khajiit of Tamriel. He is a criminal one day, a merchant the next, and a highly trained professional thief. To him, it is like the twins, Joan and Jode, using his Azura-given gift to do as he pleases. However, his family is his life, and he contributes much of his own wealth to the family business, a small general store in Sentinel. Evoba writes, Evoba Tyrus is a Dunmer Ashlander. She was born to a minor house, fated to serve the Telvanni. When she was an infant, her house was killed by a group of bandits. Found by a wandering tribe of Ashlanders, she was adopted into the tribe, and eventually rose to become their wise woman. Evoba was a calm and peaceable child, more interested in gathering herbs than hunting for their next meal. She was always curious, craning her neck to get a look at the Outlanders who visited their tribe. Through an unlikely bond to the Banescale Fellowship in the marsh, she was exposed to the very races she should have hated. Throughout the war against the Great Houses, she was introduced into a wide assortment of Outlanders. She met some of these experiences as a traditional Ashlander, cold and xenophobic. She follows her people's pantheon, Azura, Mafala, and Boethia. Her values are rooted in the clan, their nomadic nature, simple ways, and peaceful rituals. In other ways, she is the least Ashlander to have ever Ashlandered. She is respectful of other faiths, and drives her people toward a future where the Ashlander and Housemer will no longer seek to end each other based solely on their beliefs. She is typically curious and kind to new races, openly staring and asking bizarre questions. Perhaps this is part of her appeal. Perhaps this will one day get her killed. Only time will tell. No Frets writes, Honestly, none of my characters are particularly typical for their race. Take Fenric Stormfist, my Nord. While he's fond of a good fight like any Nord, he's a mage, and even less common for a Nord, a lightweight drinker. Or take my Argonian, Zir-Ook. He's a psychopathic pyromaniac, a strange trait for a Saxhleel. Sarantiel writes, while Sarantiel considers himself one of the greater byproducts of the Altmerry system, there is no doubt in the mind of Somerset that the cloth he is cut from is a darker shade of gold than the rest. Certainly he was born under a very strict copulation regime to ensure maximum potential for the would-be scion of the Relesi. And yet, being born with skin of bronze and hair darker still, his life was spared by the slim chance of possessing startlingly brilliant blue eyes, a trait prized by his father and mother both. While most Altmer find lessons warning of the dangers of hubris, greed, and ruthlessness in the histories of their people's cousins, Sarantiel saw only great strides, innovation, and progress within the tomes of lore that filled the halls of his guardian's home. Perhaps the odd woeful misstep here and there, yet the history books told tales of greatness upon Nirn, a greatness the Altmer of Somerset oft seems so eager to quash or diminish. The Dwemer who defied the indifferent gods with their ingenuity and intellect, the Ayleid who invited order and culture to the heartlands, and the Falmer who serve ever as martyred reminders to the continent of the darker savagery of man. Unlike his kin, he finds solace in the mundane pleasures of life upon Nirn, and while he reveres the stars and the powers they represent, he wants nothing more than to wrestle those powers down to the earth, where he may control and enjoy them as a tangible, near-perfect entity. Some might say that the legacy left by the Dwemer takes precedence within his designs, and with it the desire to see gods, ancestors and degenerates alike, laid low before him, prostrate before the throne, forged for a new Altmerries. Alas, many might argue that such an inflated sense of self-worth is precisely what makes Lord Archon Sarantiel Raladril, the little son of Solstice, just another trumped-up Altmer with delusions of grandeur. This episode's character exercise is, how do you imagine your character will most likely meet their demise? Answer in the comments below and you might get featured in the next episode. Be sure to check back here next week for Scrollplay with an interview with Mycroft and Galleon about using lore in your storylines. Thanks for watching. Peace.